This is The Party with Serene and Pearl. Get it right, Poddy.
We're in. We've already started.
I have to redo.
We can't redo. Have you ever noticed that when us three, is it we three or us three, by the way? We three kings, it's we three.
I like we three.
Try to redo anything. Like if we pre-potty and we're on fire, and then we like save it for the potty and we repeat.
Started.
There's no fire.
We try to repeat it.
Oh, I know, but she's just...
that was fire right there, wasn't it?
It is and was and has been for like a minute and a half, the Trim Healthy podcast. Okay.
That was your best intro yet, Daddy. But
what were you saying, Jenny?
We were saying about how we can't redo stuff because...
But it was a good point. We have to be fast. We have to be bell, and listen to Leslie's bell because you got to go and pick up your children, right?
Yeah, and he was saying that, you know, what you say, but this is not to do with the meat of the conversation.
You got to suffer a little. You got to wait when you're getting picked up, you know. You got to suffer a little bit when you're waiting on dad to pick you up. You can't, you know, my kids are in a world where they, you know, 3:15, their mom's always there. You know, she's on German time. I'm on Mexico time.
Yes.
You know, like 3:15 means around 4-ish is...
When we were kids, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what one did as a kid. You could wait. That was just your job.
You just wait.
You just wait. And you
Or
reflected.
you just find your own way home. Planes, trains, and automobiles. I remember, like, you know, cracking the whip and finding my way home. You took a few different buses.
Resourcefulness.
I'd give
But
the
times are
bus
different
driver
now,
some licorice
though.
if I didn't have a couple of coins.
Yeah.
Times are different. You know, there's always that balance between like, okay, well, you're not in Africa in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Husband is my wife talking. And I'm like, well, fair enough. But like, it's okay if they don't get picked up on the dot.
Long as they're in a safe area and they're not in danger, then it's okay for a child to wait and not be, I think, weighted on hand and foot.
Yeah.
I think it's a good life kind of.
Yeah. And I'm okay if there's no phone to wait with.
Yeah.
You know, I think
It's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. Like, how else are you going to pontificate eternity? You know?
I used to wait, no phone, no watch. Right.
Do you remember? Hey,
you
did
just
you
start looking at
You look at the sky.
Yes.
You do.
You look at the sky.
Yeah.
And you like gone are the days of like emptiness of mind to where you really like the bored. Like at first you're bored for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm so bored. And then that turns into like, why is it even blue up there?
Yeah.
Because at night it's black.
Right.
I mean, that you need to have that.
You
Yes,
need to
you
have
do.
vacant spaces to fill up.
I always tell my
Yeah.
children, they're like, oh, you know, can we watch a movie while we're in the car? Because we have the van that has the two, you know, the screens
screens.
pulled down. I'm like, no way. When I was a child, I just stared out the window.
Yeah. And you picture that
You
your
just
eyes,
stare out the window.
your eyes are lasers and you're cutting down all the tree
Yes.
lines. Like,
I
I remember being that bored.
I remember thinking in the back seat of the car going to visit our Nana and Granddad, in my brain, all it was saying was trees, 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 trees.
That's what your brain
Having
said.
the most
And that's why
blissful
you're
time.
so genius today, right?
Trees, trees. Hey, but I've got some good stuff to bring. Actually, not to bring, to ponder. Mixed betwixt ourselves, okay? I got a message from a friend, Facebook friend, and she's like, Pearl, I'd really love to know yours and Serene's thoughts on this. And so I started thinking on it because it does require some thought and conversation. And she said, I'm seeing on a lot of my social media streams that a lot of women and men, but mostly in women, are going against fat shaming. No, I think that's a good idea because I think nobody ever should be fat shamed.
I agree.
But it's going against not a current trend because I think that was a former trend to look a certain way. Now I think there
Twiggy.
is now there is a trend to embrace whatever way you are looking.
Is that in and of itself fat shaming to be skinny? What do we mean?
Well, I think to be overweight, I think for many, many years, hundreds of years, except at times where actually that was the fashion to carry more pounds and less, I think people have been shamed for being overweight.
In what way? What do you mean?
Made to feel less.
Like
made to
by
not feel
people?
beautiful.
Yes.
Made to not feel, in the perfect shape.
Like people would say it to you in your face?
Well, I haven't been immensely overweight. I've been carried a few pounds before, but from what I've seen and I experienced, and I went to school all my life, I saw it.
You're talking about like middle school, high school.
Yes, but I'm even talking about workplace. I'm talking about environment. I'm talking about a grocery store. I'm talking about someone walking through Walmart who is overweight and getting looks of scorn.
Okay.
So I think that there's a big movement turning against that, so it should be.
Right.
But with any movement comes extremes.
And so I think it's a great idea, like Pearl's saying. It's a good movement in a way. No one should be shamed no matter what, even if they are severely overweight to their detriment of their health. No one should look down on anybody. But I think the movement in the essence, in the beginning of it, is to not shame any different body shape.
Yeah.
You know, we should celebrate every single body shape, because that perfect weight for somebody is going to be so different. Like your perfect weight, Sam, will be different than my husband's perfect weight, right? It'll be different.
You called me Sam.
You called him Sam. You called Danny Sam.
Did I really?
You said your perfect weight, Sam, will be different
than my husband's weight.
It's Dan. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Didn't even
No,
catch
it's so
myself.
true. But here's the question I want to ask then, because my friend said, I'm seeing, and I'll do a verbatim what she said, I'm seeing a lot of people going against fat phobia, and instead of embracing, embracing being overweight instead of aiming to lose weight. She said, what do you and Serene think of this? And so what do we think of this? This is going to require a conversation. I want us all to be honest today. And I think the question is, can you be overweight and be healthy?
That's a
because
great
we
question.
are not just trim. We are trim and healthy. Our whole brand's trim, healthy, right? So what is healthy trim? Or is trim healthy? Is overweight healthy?
Well, I think the reason why we chose the word trim is because we didn't want to use the word skinny. Because skinny is oftentimes, unless you are genetically skinny and that's just how you were born to be, skinny is not healthy.
No.
And so we really went away from that word skinny, because trim means without excess. And excess is different for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, because you got your mesomorph, which is just naturally going to be a little bit more muscular, and you got your endomorph, naturally a little bit more softer.
Some
and
people's
that's how
bones
they were
are
made.
bigger.
No, but
You got
even
the
with endomorphs, they carry more muscle too, but
Yes.
they will have thicker layers of fat pads. They
and
just
you got
will.
the ectomorph, and they're just chowing down on macadamia all day, and they're just bones.
Have you heard the
Right?
phrase big boned?
Yes.
Like, I'm not fat, I'm big boned.
Yeah.
That's a joke. Like, people laugh at that, but it's actually true.
No, it's true.
Well,
Some
it's
people are
actually
big boned.
true on the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe
yeah.
on the width, but not on. You can always tell when it's unhealthy excess and when it's
Well, I
bones.
think that's what
you
we
know?
want to talk about today. What is unhealthy weight and what is healthy weight? And I think we're all going to look so different. Like we said in our very first book. I mean, you know, as a woman, you could be, if you're short of stature, you could be a size 2 or a 4 and be healthy, right? You might be that small. But if you're taller, you might be a 12 to 16 even and be healthy.
Pearl, there can be people 5'3" and be healthy at way above 12, size 12.
Yes, because
of just their genetics, their shape, their muscle, but also like just built to be glorious.
Yeah,
in that
gloriously
way.
round. And I think there's a trend these days. I mean, I see it in the last 5 years where women's curves are being celebrated more than ever. And I'm talking rear end curves more like in the AAS.
I've always celebrated.
department. Yeah, so is my husband. But I think as a culture
In the what department?
and
The ASS department?
yeah. Okay, and the behind department.
I would say I'm looking after my husband's assets.
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. But remember, even it was like 5-10 years ago, all the women would say to their husbands, does my butt look big in this? And a husband could say anything, right? But now it's like, hey, does my butt look big enough? You know, it's changed. It's changed now where curviness more in the lower end of a woman's body is something to be sought for, right? Whereas even 5 or 10 years ago, it was more like women were getting breast implants everywhere, and it's more the upper. I mean, things have changed throughout history.
It's like style trends.
Yes,
in
it's
body.
a style trend.
Yeah.
And so it will go out and it will come in again. We have to find the balance through all this because body shapes and styles and trends will come and go. Do you remember the bustle era? The era? You know, people are getting fat pads put in their butts right now, right? Just to make them look bigger.
Really?
But women used to wear the big bustle behind
Remember
their
that?
dress.
It was like
to accentuate the butt.
the little thing
Yes.
around a
it looked like there were camels in the back.
Yeah, they put the big fat. It was supposed to look like a bum fat pad sticking out like 3 feet.
But it was like very, very thick layers of tulle.
yeah,
Like a bunch of curtains.
Yeah.
So
and
Well,
then we
there's
had
like
the
a-
padded bras.
what about the shoulder pads? What was that meant to be? I don't know.
Oh, the poor guys, man. And
But
the shoulder
here's
pad.
what I think
No,
of today.
but girls used to wear shoulder pads. Everything used to have shoulder pads in the 80s.
I think we're all. I think there is a healthy and there's a trim for all of us. My trim might be different to your trim, which will be different to somebody else's trim. And I do believe that it's so good that people are going against a look that we all have to cater
But
to.
the funny thing is, because they're going against like the trends that have been dangerous,
Mhm.
like the Twiggy trends, and almost the trends that make everybody try and make everybody kind of look Neutrogender, where the top models were like
Mhm.
looked like little boys, right?
Right.
And so they're going against that, and that's fantastic. But in a way, they've started their new trend,
Yeah.
which is going to make everybody maybe feel like they have to achieve all of those curves, and that may not be healthy for some.
Right. And that's the thing. Even you and I, Serene, you know, when we're kind of long, tall drinks of water, maybe not as curvy as some other woman. And because you know, there's kind of a trend to now to be very, very curvy, especially in the lower part of the body, you know, you can feel less than. It's just like some woman that, you know, 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago felt over than. Many women now feeling less than and going to the plastic surgeon and getting butt implants.
And now they're removing all their breast implants.
Yes. So I was just jotting down some notes, right? So what can you be overweight and healthy? I was looking at the facts today.
And so it's so interesting because I believe you can be heavier than another person and be
Mm.
healthy, but the word overweight, I think if it's a standard set up for everybody,
Yeah. No, it's true.
that's dangerous. But
Yeah.
if it's over your weight,
Yeah, your perfect weight. So let's look at BMI. Like standard weight of what's healthy is looked at BMI, which is body mass
So there's actual
index.
numbers here.
Yes, numbers. But there
never
is
go
some
with the
truth to
numbers.
BMI, right?
Well, there's probably some
Okay.
play there.
Yes, but there's
Yeah.
play because you can get a lot of women and men that are overweight on BMI, right? Body mass index, but they have more muscle and they're just metabolically healthier because it's the distribution of muscle to fat. So they might be overweight in BMI, but it's not overweight with inflammatory fat layers. It's overweight because they have more muscle, they have bigger bones.
or just denser bones.
Denser bones, and they're just denser people.
So the BMI rule changes if we're talking muscle.
Yeah, it does. It really does because
Mm.
you've got a lot of, especially people that work out, they get heavier. As I've worked out, I've gotten heavier, but I'm definitely healthier. And I'm higher on the BMI scale.
And maybe your jeans can zip up easier even though you're heavier.
Yes.
Because it's a
although they
metabolic.
fill it out differently because I was probably maybe a little bit on the thin side.
Yeah. But what
I've-
I'm just saying on people in a general.
Yes.
Yep.
But if we want to go BMI, right? Just basics. What basically everyone in the world goes by is BMI, and underweight is considered anything below 18.5 on the BMI.
How do we find that number?
Well, you can go on to anywhere. Just type in BMI and you calculate your BMI.
But can I do it just
Yeah,
with a
do it
calculator?
right now.
I
Put
wanna
in
do
your
it right now.
height and put in your weight, Danny, and find out if you're under 18.5.
No, but I can't do it like on my
But they would
calculator.
always
Yeah,
tell
no,
me.
just look up BMI and find out your BMI.
But Pearl, if I go and I bet you they'd say underweight and I'm not underweight at
I don't
this
think
point.
not
And
now.
So sometimes
So here's how we go. And now some people are going to be that 18.5 because no matter what they do, maybe Danny will find out what he is because he's a burner. He's an ectomorph, right? But okay, so anything overweight is considered 25 BMI to 30, and then obese is 30 and over.
Shoes off, right?
Yes, shoes off. 2/3 of the world, right? Now, 2/3 of America, at least the Western world, are either overweight or obese. So that's why there's this pushback.
Well-
Everyone's saying, like, are we really this way? If 2/3 of us are like this,
well,
maybe we need to change things.
It's because of more than 2/3 of the diet
Yeah, I
is
know.
deranged.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
deranged.
So, and Serene, this is what we've been looking at.
He's not.
What are you, Danny?
I'm normal weight.
What are you normal? What's your BMI?
21.5.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay,
Yes.
so they've changed things.
I'm glad it's not 18 too.
Yeah.
Because 18.5 to 24.9 is considered normal weight.
Yes.
And if I was 18, I was going to be like, oh, I just made it.
You were 21, Dan. Good for
20.
you.
I'm
I
a
knew you were
healthy
medium, Dan. I knew it.
21.
But guess
Hey.
what? I'm glad you're 21 because that's what I'm shooting for now because they've just
Like
come
right
out.
in the middle.
Yeah, they've come up with a new thing.
And I've
Serene.
done nothing to earn
And
it.
this is what you and I. No, you have.
Other than stop drinking Coke.
And you're not on the sugar lifestyle, Dan.
Yes.
I'm not. You know what else? Before I
Protein.
met the tall drinks of water,
Yeah.
as you refreshingly referred to yourself in a refreshing manner, I was a fat little porker.
But you were skinny fat.
Yeah, but when I look back at some pictures,
Yeah.
it's like I was a little porker. For me, I was a little porker.
Right, for your trim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now you're focusing on the protein and you're not drinking your
Well, you
Cokes
probably
and-
changed, right?
And you got more
that
muscle.
that weight that you're standing on the scale is all in the biceps and in the chest and in some legs, and it's not on the little pooch.
I'm telling
It
you,
was
if
all
you're
in the pooch
21,
and
that
here.
because you are thin, that means you've developed muscle. Now I want to talk about something for us women. Listen up.
So happy.
Listen up, Danny. You're going to want to listen to this too.
I'll try.
18. They used to say anything above 18.5 is healthy. Now they're changing it. They're saying you need to be, if you're a woman, it's better to be 21.
Oh yes.
Now why?
I'm
Because
the perfect feminine.
below,
Yes.
well, you're good for a male too, but below 20, you have risk for osteoporosis
Yes.
because you don't have enough weight on your frame to build minerals in your bones. Now, I am an ectomorph. I am a thin person who eats healthy. It is hard for me to be above 20 on the BMI. But guess how I'm trying to do it? Because I don't want to eat junk. I'm having a lot of crossovers, but I'm doing it with weight training.
Yeah, and with protein.
And with
Protein
protein,
and
like you
protein
are.
and
So when I'm
protein.
going up, I was 19. I'm up to 20 now.
So good. I
But-
bet you I'm up there now too.
Yes, and I'm saying, and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, that's so low, Pearl. But we're different.
Yes.
You look at my tiny
I mean,
little
look,
Your little bird bones.
my bird bones.
like
Yeah.
how many fingers can you
No.
fit also
Look
in
at
there?
this. Look at this. Look, it's going to get gross.
Right. And then some of you guys
Like I'm
looking at
sick.
us are like, yeah, and look at mine and you've strong bones and
Yeah.
we're so different, right?
Even your daughter, who is so thin, you would think that she was, if she got any thinner, it would be dangerous, right? Autumn?
Yeah.
Her bones are just so beautiful
Yeah.
and strong, and that's why she's
Well,
such an athlete.
Yes, but she's got more of my husband's
Right.
bones, not
It's fantastic.
not
they're
mine.
not big bones, but they're not scrawny bones.
So I think that we can all establish that even though there are outliers there with BMI, I think we can establish that there is too low and too high when it comes to our health.
Oh, and I want to talk about too low, and you're going to talk about too high.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about too high first. And let's just get to the reality because we can live in a fantasy world where we say, my weight is okay anywhere it wants to put itself.
And it can also make people think it's okay to keep unhealthy habits going that are killing you.
Yeah. Because a lot of times I understand someone was saying, I'm so glad I'm free from that pressure to be a certain weight. Okay, I agree about being a certain weight. But
Or a certain body
and
shape
just like
you weren't
I'm no
designed
longer
to be.
depressed.
I agree.
I feel more confident. I don't feel oppressed by the constraints of the society. Okay, I see the point. But don't live in a fantasy world where you think that you can be optimally healthy at any weight because I'm sorry, the facts are that you cannot.
Yeah, that's
That's
fair to
right.
say. And that's only loving. There's no shame in that.
I'm the last person to fat shame because someone could skinny shame me.
Yeah.
But I'm seeking healthy.
You know what? On that note, I was skinny shamed my entire life.
Yeah.
I didn't bawl about. I mean, when I was younger, it was like, man, this sucks. Like,
Oh,
I'm a little scrawny wimp, and I felt it too. Even like physical strength, like I'd wrestle other guys,
Yeah.
and just it's like we had fun, but if they tried, like I couldn't do it. You know, the bar at the gym
Yeah.
when I was in high
The
school,
Olympic bar.
I could not bench the bar.
Pearl and I used to be teased because we went to high school with, people that are shorter, they develop sooner. It's just, when you
Oh,
reach
yeah.
a certain height, you finish,
You start going out.
You just start, your hormones start kicking into play. So oftentimes not all the time, but you'll reach kind of sort of where you're going to be in height before you even start cycling as a woman.
You know what?
So we were called the pirate's favorite treasure, a sunken chest. I mean, so you can get shamed either way, right?
You can get shamed either
Well,
way.
look, and middle schoolers and high, like, I mean, there's time to grow up too, right? But like middle schoolers and high schoolers, that age, maybe college even, who knows, even at the workplace afterwards, you're like, if shame comes your way though, you've got to like respond to that appropriately too. Like I started doing my push-ups and taking my powders and choosing to not do that. Like, and I'm all for it. Like, man, yeah, absolutely. Nobody needs to put somebody down, but at the same time, celebrate if the world puts you down. Maybe, I mean, I probably needed to hear a little. That motivated me.
Well, I can see what you're saying, but Danny, you're a person that has gone back through your life and you've taken the hard moments and made them work for you. Yeah. Now, I have to applaud that because I think that's what all of us have to do. Some people aren't there yet.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say. So let's go to the realities and the facts, and let's not live in fantasy land. And I hope that's not coming across
it's not.
It
is
cruel and
not.
brutal.
It is not, because we've spent 19 minutes and 45 seconds saying, everybody, there are so many different shapes to rule the world.
Okay. So let's talk about what severe obesity does at first. And that's, basically anything over 30, probably severe obesity is well over that, does to a person's lifespan. It is the same as having a full life of smoking cigarettes per day, of chronically smoking, being severely obese.
30, which is 30% BMI.
Or more than that. Severely obese would be more than that, above 30.
Okay.
And what it does is, on average, it takes a full decade off your longevity. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to die at 75, you'll die at 65. On average. I mean, that's just what the statistics say.
Hey, that's real talk.
That's 10
years
of not having a grandparent or a grandchild.
Well, we can just say, if we're going to start celebrating, hey, if 2/3 of the world, sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt, Bill, but if 2/3 of the population are like this, isn't this how we're meant to be? Let's celebrate. Let's just be happy where we are. Well, let's look at the stats of how they're dying.
Well, and let's look at how that actually affects real lives. I mean, that is graduations missed. That is not seeing that second baby.
Right. That's not being able to enjoy the season of retirement together as a couple because one's gone.
What if it's not just severe obesity? What if it is just, not finding a very healthy weight for ourselves? So they looked at statistics on health span, and people who were able to maintain a stable, healthy weight throughout their lives lived longer, on average 9 years for men and 7 years for women. Those are powerful statistics.
I wish I had my cat back today.
Yeah. And so here we do. Now, why does this happen? Because when we are, I'm not saying you cannot be healthy when you're carrying a few pounds, but it starts to add up on different things. Even if you don't get type 2 diabetes, right? Even if you don't have risk of heart disease and stroke, and they all go up once you are in those overweight BMIs, you get things like weight on your knees and joints and things like that, because your frame
How many people
is very heavy.
Know that are like 65 and older? I mean, I can just count them they've all had their knees replaced. Mm-hmm.
We call my grandmother Robo Nana.
Yeah, because
she has more robotic parts than. But I mean, she's maintained a healthy weight. She's just she played tennis. I mean, into her.
Oh, so it was
70s.
Very aggressive sports. Yeah,
yeah, like daily.
So it's not just overweight, but that is a big contributor. That's one of the biggest contributors for knee replacement. Yeah. So all causes of death, mortality go up when you reach an overweight BMI. Yes.
It just made me think about that when you said, it's not just about the diseases. Let's just think about the joints themselves. When I look around in certain shopping plazas, I don't want to say the ones starting with W, I look around and there's people that, according to social media, should be celebrating that weight. They can hardly walk. Now, is that a point to celebrate? Like you can tell their knees are hurting. You can tell the way that you look at their shoes and where the soles are wearing out, just the weight distribution, just so that they can actually they kind of like what do you call it? Pronate out, and all of the shoes are kind of worn down on one side because just of the weight wearing down just with each step.
And this is why, and Serene, this is why we're here, right? Because we want to bring help to people that feel like they can't find a way to do it, to find this stable, healthy weight. It feels impossible to them. So that's why we're going to keep being here.
And it feels like why start? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when I start to I can tell when I'm starting to bloat and get that, because for me, it goes all chin and belly. Even 2 weeks into going, I'm seeing it, and I remember the Coke and I remember the pie, and I know why this is here. We're talking like body mass index still in check probably, but I feel hopeless. I feel like there's no, like, I'm not even going to start. And that's with like weighing like 150. So like, I think when people do begin to get the BMI really high, it's beyond hopeless.
Well, it feels that way because here's the things that happen. I mean, I've got the facts down
here.
here.
Don't think we're just beating up because we're going to beat up the other way.
We're going to beat up the other way too. So all causes of death go up. High blood pressure goes up as soon as the BMI usually hits the overweight point. High LDL cholesterol and low HDL cholesterol, high levels of triglycerides, type 2 diabetes is rampant. It's an epidemic. Coronary heart disease, stroke, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, as I said, sleep apnea and breathing problems, a huge thing.
My husband and we used to, and he wasn't severely overweight. He was just carrying an extra 25, and I would wake up to this. Like literally, I was scared I was going to lose him. It was just he would stop breathing in the night.
Is that why? He
doesn't do that anymore.
Like
he's
internal
lost
weight happens too. Like
I think visceral. Here's the other thing, and many types of cancer. And do you know they did this poll recently? I think it was at Oxford University, and they asked people, "What do you think happens? When you're overweight?" And many people said, "Well, stroke, heart attack, things like that." Only 5% of people realize that being overweight raises the risk of cancers significantly.
Do we have a percentage?
No, because each cancer is different.
Yeah. Okay.
So, so the other thing that is greatly impacted. And the other way too, when we get to the underweight, this is severely impacted too. But fertility, the very thing that we are here, the basic function, not all of us get to do it, but it's such a privilege to bring life into this world, is significantly impacted by being overweight. And that
you could add to that erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, huge, because
which
is type 2 diabetes in men and erectile dysfunction. Yes. There are so many studies to supporting the connection between even miscarriage and high blood sugar, which correlated with high weight.
You haven't even mentioned the mental aspects.
Well, all mental, and it was my next one. Mental illness such as clinical depression, anxiety, and other mental disorders all go on the rise once the BMI is actually overweight.
It wasn't just that I was like eating tons of healthy food. For me, I was eating a lot of sugar and bad food, and I was spiking and crashing and not treating my family right.
Yeah, right. And that's right. And then
people think it's just wine. Huh? People think it's just wine or whiskey that make dads blow up at their children.
No, it's not.
No, it's hypoglycemia.
Yes.
From Coca-Cola. Yeah,
exactly.
And
my husband used to get that same way after cookies, after every before we did Trim Healthy Mum and before I got him on plan.
Yeah.
He'd eat after each meal, he'd eat 4 the Toll House chocolate chip cookies. And
which 4 isn't even.
It's quite.
It's not even a lot.
But this is after dinner, okay? And there was significant size, and he would be so happy and play with the kids for about 20 minutes and be so kind. And the grumpiest of the grumps.
Yeah.
About 1 hour later,
I was going to say after
the
about
troll
an hour
comes out.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
And once he stopped, he's just even Charlie.
And I'll tell you this, as someone who just blew it for so many years like this, you actually think that your family's giving you problems. You actually think that your son's bucking up to you. You're hallucinating on sugar,
right?
Or the lack of sugar, the crash.
Right.
Yeah, and I can tell what things go into your system, how they affect. Because I'm not a sugar person, but I can't handle caffeine.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Whenever I have coffee,
freaking out right now on like half a cup of
unless I'm
tea.
at a holiday and the adrenaline and the fun of the holiday are eating up that caffeine, or unless I go work out to that caffeine.
You gotta be swimming in the ocean.
If I'm just in the kitchen with my children on that caffeine, I am nasty. Your genetics, right? And that's not excess for you. But what we're here to say today is don't go making yourself be a size 2 when you were born to rock a size 10 or 12, right? And don't go trying to make yourself and celebrate and say, this is where I should be at a size 12 if you were really meant to be a size 6.
It's so good, Serene. We should take a break now, a little potty break, and we'll come back in a minute.
So I think we've established the fact that you can be overweight for you, even if that weight can be, celebrated as healthy for somebody else, right? It's so individual, and I think we feel it. I think deep down we can really feel it. Don't you think? Or maybe, Pearl, do you think that's true? Or maybe if somebody hasn't ever been in their zinging, healthy, trim, perfect for them state, that they don't know what they're missing. Like,
yeah, I think that could be true too. Some people
Right.
have not since perhaps teenagehood have not experienced their true healthy weight.
Right. Interesting. But I don't want, like we said, we don't want to act like we're beating up on the overweight, because underweight is equally as dangerous.
Why is there like a wolf breathing?
It's the refrigerator. I'm a professional at realizing it's the refrigerator, because we have we have peeing refrigerators. We have interesting refrigerators, like creatures in our house. They pee.
Oh, because you got 12 kids, you got that like commercial fridge.
Well, it's just, I don't know, but there's a spot that we like to have a refrigerator, and no matter how many times we get rid of the peeing fridge to buy a new one that won't pee, they always pee in that spot.
Oh, like it leaks?
Yes. But it's like a pee, because it just...
Hey, Leslie, you got a bell? Yeah, ring that thing. Ring that bell. And I don't think anyone listening is hearing the refrigerator.
Like Pearl said, we have probably been underweight in quite a few of the years that we have been heading up Trim Healthy Mama. Not because I think we were celebrating underweight, but because it was easy for us to stay there.
With our body types, maybe?
With our body types. But like Dan said, sometimes you just have to get in there. We had to start lifting some weights and strengthen our little tiny bones, and put some healthy metabolic tissue on us, muscle, so that we can age well. And so it's not just the overweight that need to try, the underweight too. And so I want to speak to that, but I also want to speak to those who think that underweight, because of years and years and years, now it's not so trendy, but it's, how people can get stuck in the hairstyle, like our mum has the hairstyle she's always had since we were born. And it's like she's stuck in that. That's the cool hairstyle, right? Well, people can get stuck that being skinny is the way to go, no matter what culture says. They're just still beating themselves up and wanting to be size 2.
Yes.
Well, I get the why behind how people get overweight. I mean, it's just gravity, physics. Like it's...
And the food available.
The food available too. Like, I mean, the rush lifestyle, you literally got to make changes in every corner of your life, from when you drop kids off to what you do at night before work the next day. I mean, it's super hard to be overweight. But what was the why for you? Like, why were you underweight?
Well, I mean, I beg to differ in a friendly way that it's super hard to not be overweight, because I feel like there can be a celebratory, really happy, really easy approach. It's just a mindset.
Well,
tweak.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I agree with that.
That's why it's all about shove the shame, do this food freedom, do it the same way. That's
Do you know, I have a really good idea, because I want to dig deep into this, because it's a good conversation. Why is it, we took a whole party on why it's actually, can you be healthy and overweight? Let's look at this again. Let's look at the reality. The reality says if you're overweight, you're not as healthy as you can be.
So the answer is no.
So the answer, that was hard to say. Okay. There's a lot of people going to hear me and say, ouch, Pearl, that's brutal. But the answer is no.
Because we're going to go the other side and say something too.
Unless your body metabolic composition is lean muscle mass.
Yeah.
If it's excess inflammatory layers, the answer is no. But there are exceptions. And
it doesn't mean
muscle.
If you've got a nice big bum that's excess inflammatory layers, because sometimes there's places genetically, women in certain family generational lines or cultural lines, that they put it there, and they can be very thin in the tummy where that's their trim.
But I think we should take a whole new party, because we're basically 40 minutes in, and dig deep into the other. It doesn't serve us right to just spend 5 minutes on why underweight.
And we have to stop the refrigerator from meowing. That's why we have to stop.
Hey, see you guys back in next week, right?
Peace, homies.
Bye-bye.
Trim Healthy Mama.